All right. Multi-colored. First impression set review. Mr. Pisto Plays. Kaldheim with a Brawl perspective. This is the last of the videos of the 4-part series. We are into multicolored cards along with the theme and set booster cards. These are cards that you get by progressing through the game in the Mastery Pass or by crafting them with your hard-earned rares and uncommons slots. All right, let's get into some multicolored. We are going to start with the scale first before we get into the cards. Actually, we have a 3-point scale if you haven't seen it before. First one is I don't see these being played very much, if any. They are not great. Second are tribal and archetype dependent cards. They're fringe playable. And third can be played in any deck. They are the best. All right, uncommon Sagas. Let's do this. So cards that are not great in the uncommon Sagas: Ascent of the Worthy, Fall of the Imposter, The 3 Seasons, The Trickster's God Heist, and Invasion of the Giants. Yeah, I just don't think they will see much play in many of the decks. You might need, I can see them being played for sure, but you definitely need some reason to use them more so than anything. If you think one of these should be in a different place, please comment in the comments below of which one you think should be moved up, which one you think should be moved down. Remember, these are my opinions. Be nice. It's just my thoughts, what I think they should be and what I think they are. And the last one, it's not a really a saga, but it is a multicolored card. You play it in 5-color if you want to. I don't think it's great as Path of the World Tree. Finding a basic land, and then its activated ability of Wooburg +2 just doesn't really do enough. All right. Fringe playable ones, we have Nico Defies Destiny, Arnie Slays the Trolls, and Forging the Tyrite Sword. Getting treasure tokens in these colors is nice extra ramp for red and white. And then finding an equipment and or god card called Halvar. Most Boros decks run equipment and some are running Halvar, so I think it's pretty, it's out there. Arnie Slays a Troll, 2-mana fight spell is always a good thing. And then gaining life in red and green is nice. Nico Defies Destiny, these colors are very much the Foretell colors. Being able to return Behold the Multiverse or a Doomscar from your graveyard to your hand on the third part is very, very powerful. And the best, I think, Binding the Old Gods and Cardor's Vicious Return. Binding the Old Gods does it all. Destroying a permanent, non-land permanent is very powerful. Finding a forest card ramps you from, if you get to hit your land drop, you get from 5 to 7, which is kind of cool. And then giving everything Death Touch for your turn. Being able to attack with everything is nice. 3 damage by sacrificing a creature and then discarding a card on the next part. Then returning something from the battle graveyard to the battlefield with haste is often backbreaking. All right, the rare sagas, we have a bunch of them. A bunch of them I don't think are all that great. Battle for Bretagard, the Blood Sky Massacre, Bears of Littjara, Waking the Trolls, and Raven's Warning. Raven's Warning, the third part of the saga, you can't even use in this format, so it's not great. Getting 2 tokens for 3 mana and then copying those 2 tokens, plus maybe 1 or 2 things, I don't think is all that great. Getting a 2/3 and then drawing life for each Berserker is very, very niche. The Bears of Littjara, I just don't see it being played in the Selesnya deck. There are a lot better things at 3 mana, and Waking the Trolls is a lot to blow up a land and get in a land, and then you might get 2, maybe 3 4/4s out of this, but they are just tokens, so they're very easy to deal with compared to a regular creature. And yeah, those are the legendary sagas that I don't think are all that great. Ones that I think are fairly fringe playable: Battle of Frost and Fire, Fierce's Retribution, King Nefari's Betrayal, and Herald Unites the Elves. The first 2 and the last one are very focused on, in many ways, the tribe. Not so much for Battle of Frost and Fire. It is just a 5 mana, deal 4 damage to all things that aren't giants. And the other parts of it are actually pretty good. Fierce's Retribution is 100% angels, as Herald Unites the Elves is 100% elves. King Nefari's Betrayal It's an interesting card. Maybe I'm gonna give it a try when I do play another Orzhov deck. I'm not sure if it's something that I would put in another one, but we might play it in Dimir, sorry, and it could see a spot. And then the best Saga, there is only one. Showdown of the Scalds is the best Saga, in my opinion, in Boros, getting to exile the top 4 cards of your library and playing them, and then making your creatures bigger by playing spells on the second and the third aspect of this is really quite strong. Those are the Sagas. We're going to get into the uncommon legendary right now. All right, so the uncommon legendary features of the Kaldheim set. We have ones that aren't so great, at least in my opinion. They're not all that great. And that's just one, really. Firja, Judge of Valor. 5 mana for a 2/4 just doesn't really do it for me. Flying Lifelink, I guess, is kind of nice. Being a cleric is also nice and may go on the top end of a Aura clerics type deck. And casting 2 spells a turn is sometimes not all that easy. And then putting 3 cards into your 2 cards in your graveyard and 1 in your hand is an okay effect, but I don't think it's all that powerful. Then we have some fringe playable ones. One that definitely need archetypes to be done. Narfi, Betrayer King, Herald, King of Skemfar, Morty of the Frost, Cole, the Forge Master, Maha, Bretagard Protector, and Kardur, the Doom Scourge. Nefari, you're probably wanting to play in a Zombies and Snow Tribal deck. I don't think you're wanting to play it in any other way. Probably better as your commander. Herald, King of Skemfar, is definitely in the 60 card of a Golgari Elves deck, and that's about it. I don't think you're going to play it in many other places. Morty the Frost, yeah, it's nice to copy your spells, but it's 5 mana to copy something. And this at 5 mana, you're probably wanting to play something other than the card that you have in your deck. Redundancy is nice, but yeah, I just don't think it really fits all that well. Cole the Forge Master is very much aura and enchantment based. You have to have those or else it's just a 2 mana 2/2. Maha, Bretagard Protector, 5 mana for a 2/3. If its stats were a little bit better, I think it would do better. Or if it gave itself +1/+1, but then that wouldn't really matter. Or it would be kind of silly. It's playing lands matters decks will want to play Maha, Bretagard Protector if it's in the colors. And then Kardur, Doom Scourge. Sometimes you don't want their creatures to attack. You're playing a more control-y style deck, and you don't have a lot of blockers, so it doesn't make sense to play this in every single Rakdos deck. You want it where you're attacking and you want your opponents to be forced to attack. So I don't think it fits in every single Rakdos deck, so that's why it's here. The best of the best. We have Agar, the Freezing Flame, Vega the Watcher, and Svella Ice Shaper. Agar, Izzet decks play burn spells. That's just how it is. And being able to draw cards with your burn spells is that much better. Vega the Watcher, if you're playing Azurius, you're more than likely playing a decent number of Foretell cards or Adventure cards. So being able to draw cards when you cast the Foretell or a creature from the Adventure after it's gone in its adventure, I think it's very powerful. Svella the Ice Shaper, creating mana rocks on itself is a fantastic ability. A pretty decent blocker in the early game. You can make those things at instant speed. And late game, it is a house, being able to play free things from the top of your library, even if they do cost less than 8 mana. It's a very strong, powerful ability. All right. We have rares and mythics. These I just lumped all together. They are creatures, they are planeswalkers, they are legendary creatures. So we're going to go through them now. Fringe playable, nothing is bad. I don't think there's any bad mythic or rare multicolored card. Yorn, God of Winter, Kaldring, the Rhyme Staff, and Tyvar Kell very much need, for the first one, needs snow, and for the second one, needs elves to be playable. I don't think they're playable outside of those sections, so that's why they're here. For the best, there are 2 slides of the best. We have the Prismatic Bridge and Ezeka, God of the Tree. I know it's a very annoying card to play against. It is a somewhat fun card to play with, and whether you're playing it as your commander or in the 90 or in the 60, I think it is very strong. Free things are good. We always are looking for ways to cheat on mana, and this one does it in a big way if your deck is built right. Immersturm Predator, 4 mana, 3/3. When it becomes tapped, you exile a card from an opponent's graveyard and put a 1/1 counter on it, and you can sacrifice another creature to give it indestructible and tap it to eat something else. So it's attacking as a 4/4. It's I think it's just a very strong card overall. Whether or not you have things to sacrifice, if you have things to sacrifice, it's obviously better. But if you don't, it's still something that they want to kill because they don't want you to be ripping their graveyard apart. And then we have Volky, God of Lies, and Tibalt, Cosmos, Imposter. I personally think in later set reviews, if there are these double face cards, I'm going to separate the faces. I don't think Volky, God of Lies is all that good in this format. It's you can play it on 2, but it's going to get killed in some way, shape, or form because they're going to want their creature back. Tibalt, on the other hand, is an amazing top end for Rakdos, and I think it goes into any Rakdos deck, whether you're playing aggro or you're playing control. Being able to play a 7 mana Planeswalker that does as much as it does, I think is very valuable. Our next set, we have Sarulf Realm Eater. You are going to be killing things on your opponent's side of the battlefield if you're playing in these colors, and having something that grows and grows and grows, even if you don't take the counters off it, it's still a 3 mana 3/3 that gets bigger every time something hits the graveyard on your opponent's side. So it's very, very good. Even if you don't exile things with it. Coma, Cosmos Serpent. You're playing this in any Simic deck. 7 mana 6/6. Sure, it's a little bit expensive, but there are lots of good ways to ramp in this format. Being able to shut down a permanent on your opponent's control, tap creatures to get them out of the way, or just give it indestructible until the end of turn. There's a very small window of being removed. Exile is their best bet. We have 2 Planeswalkers. We have Nico Eris and we have Kaya the Exonerable. Nico Eris could be on the fringe playable side of things. It's a good card. I don't know how great it is, but it's definitely a good card. And then Kaya the Exonerable being able to come down and exile any permanent for -3. And if you do end up ultimating her, then you can play it after you've exiled it. So if you -7 destroy Kaya to make it so you can cast legendary permanents for free, you can put it in the graveyard, and then next turn you can just recast it again. So it's a very strong effect if you can get it to its ultimate. Now we have those theme set and booster cards. These are cards that you get by completing the master set or by using your hard-earned wild cards, which I don't recommend doing because they're not all that great. The uncommon ones that are not great, pretty much all the uncommons are not all that great. Armed and Armored, War Chanter Scald, Fire Giant's Fury, Renegade Reaper, Gilded Assault Cart, and Guildwalker Ritualist. The Ritualist is impossible to play in this format because you can only play one of any card, so it doesn't really do anything for you. The Gilded Assault Cart I did play in my mono red Dwarves deck, as it is pretty good for tapping your elves in order to get something that attacks fairly well. I think the Renegade Reaper, it's just not all that great for what it does. Only being able to target giants with Fire Giant's Fury is a really big downside. I think War Chanter Scald is probably one of your better ones as far as its ability to get 2/1s when it attacks if it's equipped or enchanted. And then Armed and Armored, you have to have a decent number of vehicles and or equipment for this to really hit home. Fringe playable, we have Elf, their Fang Ritualist, Absorb Identity, Bearded Axe, Giant's Grasp, Rampage of the Valkyries, Thorn Mantle Striker. The first one and the last one are in dedicated elf decks. The Absorb Identity is a bounce spell, and bounce spells are always good. Making your shapeshifters turn into copies of something is pretty cool. Bearded Axe. Getting 1/1 for each dwarf equipment and or vehicle you control. It gives itself +1/+1. And in a dwarf dedicated deck, I think it could be good. Giant's Grasp is interesting. I read it wrong the first time. I think I probably would have played it in my deck had I read that it actually exiles the creature attached to the giant as long as this remains in play. I think it's actually a lot better than I originally thought, but it definitely does need to go into a giant's deck. We have the best. There is a couple of them. We have Kaldheim Aspirant, Elven Ambush, and Youthful Valkyrie. I put these here. They could, to me, to be honest, they're all really fringe playable. Kaldheim Aspirant and Youthful Valkyrie I put in here as being the best because you are 100% all the time, every time going to be playing them in Angels decks. Along with Elven Ambush, you are 100% all the time, every time going to play this in your Elf deck. They probably could just be all fringe playable because they are all very much archetype dependent, but I thought these were the best of the archetype dependent ones. Now we have some rares. There are no mythics in this cycle. They're all just rares and uncommons. When the one not great card is the Stutland Elementalist, 7 mana 8/8. It costs 2 less to costs 2 more to cast if you don't reveal a giant. And when it attacks, you can cast an instant or sorcery from your hand without paying its mana cost. So it costs 7 mana. If you don't have another giant, it costs 9 mana. The effect is very powerful, but I just don't know if it's worth the investment. I didn't play it in my giants deck. Maybe down the road when we do giants again, if we do giants again, I will give it a try. But for right now, I just don't think it is where you want to be when you're playing giants. Fringe playable, we have Valkyrie Harbinger, Sturtland Flinger, and Cleaving Reaper. The Valkyrie Harbinger could go up into the best cards. It is very strong. Being a 4/5 with flying and lifelink and being able to trigger itself because you gain 4 life. You get a 4/4 White Angel creature token with flying and vigilance, and it's at the beginning of every end step. So if you block with it and gain 4 life on your opponent's turn, you get a 4/4 at the end of their turn. Same goes if you do it on your turn and you attack or you block, or you attack and can deal or gain 4 life in any way. Sturtland Flinger I think is great in the Giants deck, being able to fling another creature. And if you do, it deals damage equal to sacrifice creature's power. If you do it with a giant, it deals twice that. So in theory, you could probably play this in a mono red deck and it'd be pretty good. But it's definitely the best when you are playing giants. Cleaving Reaper, 5 mana, 5/3 flying trample. You can pay 3 life to return it from your graveyard to your hand. Activate this ability if an angel or a berserker enter the battlefield under your control. Something to look at if you are playing a berserker tribal or an angel tribal deck. I didn't put it in my angels deck, and maybe next iteration we do another video with angels and we're playing Orzhov, I will give it a go. And the best, there's only one that I think goes in every single green deck you ever build, and I think that's Canopy Tactician. 4 mana for a 3/3. Other elves get +1/+1. That's not the relevant text. The relevant text here is it taps to add 3 green mana. And so going from 4 to, if you play your land drop on 5, to have 8 mana means you can play pretty much anything in the deck. Svella, you can tap her because it has the 8 mana that needs for that. So I just think this is the best of all those cards from the sets. All right, multicolor and theme booster cards. Let me know if you agree, if you think there's something that I overlooked, because to be honest, we are only 2 weeks into the set. And but yeah, if I overlook something, or if you think I think something is not as good as it is, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to start a discussion. All right, those are my set reviews. If you haven't seen the other ones, they are in the description below. I'm Mr. Pisto. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night, wherever you are in the world. Bye for now.